Et bienvenue mes amis, and welcome to another adventure in French. Today's lesson is just a series of odds and ends of small grammar points that really aren't worth a whole lesson, but just I like to call them hiccups. Just some little things that you need to be aware of, some of the finer points perhaps of the grammar. And I've got three things I want to share with you today. The first is the conjugation of verbs like acheter. And acheter means to buy. All right, acheter is an ER verb that is of this form. Notice you have an E plus a consonant plus the ER. Now, verbs of this form, E plus consonant plus ER, normally have what we call a mute or a silent E in this next to the last syllable. In other words, listen, I don't say acheter because this E is mute. I say acheter. All right? So this E in the next to the last syllable is mute, silent. All right? And that's going to affect the conjugation of the verb. Let me show you how. Okay? I have my subject pronouns. Let's get those down. Je, tu, il, nous, vous, and then il plural. All right. Now I'm going to form the stem of my verb, and when I form the stem of an ER verb, what do? That's right, I get rid of the ER. All right, and there's my stem. So I'm going to put this stem in each form because I know each form has to include the stem. The endings may vary, but the stem is always the same. And just one more. All right, so now I've got my subject pronouns and my stems. All right. Now we have a little issue up here with the je because I've got this E coming up against the A, and you know the French don't like that. It sounds too choppy for them, so I'm going to have to replace this E with an apostrophe. All right, now I'm set to go. I just have to add my endings. And for ER verbs, the endings are E, ES, E, ONS. Oh, I'm sorry. I said it, but I didn't add it. E. Come on. There we go. Now, ONS, EZ, and ENT. Okay. Now I'm set. Because this E is mute or silent, listen to how that would sound when I conjugated this verb. With a silent E, it would sound like this. J'achète, tu achètes, il achète, nous achetons, vous achetez, ils achètent. Well, now to the French, a word that sounds like achète, that's not a very pleasing sound. And we know that the French language is all about euphony, or good sounds. And so when the French hear that, that's not pleasing to the ear, and they're going to come up with a way to fix that so that it sounds more pleasing. And the remedy they've come up with is you take this final E of the stem and you add an accent grave to it so that it becomes E with an accent grave. All right? And this is going to make it sound like a short E sound. Eh. So instead of j'achète, now I have j'achète. Oh, that sounds so much better than j'achète. J'achète. I buy. Okay, let's look at tu. All right, same thing's going to happen. I don't want to say tu achètes, so I'm going to add my E accent grave, and it's going to be tu achètes. Sounds pretty. Again, il achète. No, I'm going to say il achète. Now, nous achetons. Well, the French don't think that sounds very bad at all. See, because we can throw this T onto this next syllable of the ONS, and it actually sounds pretty nice. Nous achetons. So we're not going to fool with that one. We're going to leave it just like it is. Let's look at vous achetez. Well, again, it's the same thing as with new. We have that extra syllable. We can throw the T onto that, and it doesn't sound bad. Vous achetez. Okay, that can stay. Then we look at il. Plural. Ils achètent. No good. That does not sound pretty. So again, we're going to add the I accent grave, and it's ils achètent. So now we have j'achète, tu achètes, il achète, nous achetons, vous achetez, ils achètent. And that sounds beautiful and pleasing. So, when it comes to ER verbs in the form of E plus consonant plus ER, normally we're going to change that E of the stem into an E accent grave in all of the singular forms and in the third person plural. We leave the nous and the vous forms as they are. All right? So that's one, the conjugation of verbs like acheter. Okay, the second thing. Let's get rid of that. I want to talk to you about is, using adjectives as nouns. We do this in English. Let's use buy. Okay? We want to say, I am buying, well, let's use the blue car. I like to use that a lot. Okay? I am buying the blue car. Okay. Now, in English, we can use this blue here, this adjective, as a noun. And the way we would do that is to say, I am buying the blue one. Okay? See, I don't need to say car, because evidently we've been talking. You know that I'm talking about a car. You have some sort of reference to know what noun I'm talking about. So instead of saying I am buying the blue car, I can just say I'm buying the blue one, and you know what I'm talking about. Well, you can do the same thing in French. We take this same sentence. Okay. Whoops. Got ahead of myself there. J'achète la voiture bleue. I am buying the blue car. All right? In French, I can turn this adjective, this blue, into a noun so that it translates the same as I am buying the blue one. And the way you do that in French is you simply get rid of the noun. You leave the adjective with the article. All right? And this j'achète la bleue, I am buying the blue one. Okay? In French, they don't add the word one. They just use the adjective with the article. And that's it. J'achète la bleue means I'm buying the blue one. Now, you still have to make sure that the adjective agrees in gender and number with the noun that it's replacing. Okay? So, I have to make sure that this one is feminine singular because my noun was feminine singular. All right? If I was talking about, the blue pencil. All right? I am buying the blue pencil. Since pencil is masculine, I would have to say j'achète le bleu. And I would have to use the masculine. Likewise, if I was talking about buying the blue pencils, okay, since that's plural, I'd have to make sure that my article and my adjective were plural. I'm buying the blue ones. Okay? And if I want to talk about buying the blue cars, I'm very wealthy and I can afford to buy 2 blue cars. I'd have to make sure that my adjective and my article would be feminine plural. All right? So that means I'd have to add this extra, that extra E, and now j'achète les bleus. All right? And that's all there is to using adjectives as nouns in French. Just use your adjective with the article and make sure that it agrees in gender and number with the noun it's replacing. And I don't have to use the definite article. I could use an indefinite article. And if I wanted to talk about I am buying a blue car or I'm buying a blue one, I could just say j'achète une bleue. All right. Simple enough, right? But it's fun to do, and it can save you some time without having to express unnecessary nouns. Okay, so we've covered acheter. We've covered the use of adjectives as nouns. Now I want to talk about adverbs. And you know what an adverb is. An adverb is a word that describes a verb. It describes an action. And normally in English, we would use words that end in ly. That's the normal way we form adverbs. And of course, it's not a hard and fast rule. There are some adjectives that we form that don't end in ly, but normally they do. So that you can say a sentence like, I am studying seriously. I am studying seriously. See here, seriously is an adverb because it's describing the verb study. It's telling how you're studying. All right? Well, in French, they form adverbs very much in the same fashion that we do in English, except for them, here's the formula. You take the feminine form of the adjective, and then you add the suffix ment. All right, feminine form of the adjective plus the suffix ment. So that if you had the word seriously in French, which would be sérieux, we're going to take the feminine form of serious, which is sérieuse. We're going to add our ment, sérieusement, and that equals seriously. All right? Feminine form of the adjective plus the suffix ment, sérieusement. So that this sentence above would come out, j'étudie sérieusement. I am studying seriously. All right? And that's really all there is. Feminine form of the adjective plus ment, the suffix ment. All right? And then we have a few irregular adjectives, adverbs. The adverb for good is not bonnement, but it's bien for well. And, well, let me put well here instead of good. And then in English, badly, we just add ly to bad, but in French they don't do that. They have an irregular form, and it is mal, which means badly. All right, so those are the two most famous, you might say, or infamous adverb exceptions. But normally the rule is feminine form of the adjective plus ment. It's like adding ly in English. And so that's it. The conjugation of the verb acheter, verbs like acheter, using adjectives as nouns, and forming our adverbs. And as you can see, we've had a very productive adventure, or should I say adventures, in French. All right, I'll see you again soon. Au revoir, mes amis.